Throughout human history, a lot of civilizations have risen, flourished, and then vanished without any signs of what caused their downfall. What's left are the ruins of their once amazing cities and artifacts that give us a look into their way of life. The sudden collapse of these once thriving communities is a question that even the most sharpest brains can't explain. So join us for today's video, as we explore 15 of these lost ancient civilizations that could rewrite our history. Number 15. The Indus Valley Civilization. The Indus Valley Civilization, also called the Harappan Civilization, was a Bronze Age society that spread across present-day Pakistan and northwest India. It thrived from about 3,300 to 1300 BCE, with its golden age falling between 2600 and 1900 BCE. At its peak, the population may have reached 5 million. Despite excavations beginning in the 1920s, we still know surprisingly little about them. Over 1,000 sites have been documented, 406 in Pakistan, 616 in India, but their writing system remains undeciphered. Unlike Egypt's hieroglyphs or Mesopotamian cuneiform, there's no Rosetta Stone for translation. They built advanced cities with fired brick homes, running water, sewage systems, and metallurgy. Few weapons have surfaced, hinting at a largely peaceful society. Artifacts suggest a fondness for beads, children's toys, and fine ornamentation. Trade reached as far as Mesopotamia. Around 1900 BCE, their cities began to empty. Many experts believe climate change dried rivers and triggered famine, disease, or migrations. For all its achievements, the Indus Valley left behind one of history's quietest exits. Number 14. Carol, also called the Carol Supi Civilization, was a pre-Columbian society based in coastal Peru, active between 3000 and 1800 BCE. It's the oldest known city in the Americas, stretching over 370 acres and supporting roughly 3,000 residents. The region's 3 rivers sustain the population, allowing the culture to flourish in a desert landscape. Though the site was first identified in 1948 by Paul Cossack, serious excavation didn't begin until 1975. Archaeologists discovered a planned city with zones for housing, a massive temple complex, and an amphitheater for public gatherings. Carol's influence extended across the Andes and laid cultural groundwork for later empires. Religion played a central role, evident from 19 additional temple sites scattered throughout the Supi Valley. One of the most intriguing finds was the quipu, a system of knotted cords later used by the Inca to store information. Also found were bone-crafted musical instruments, including 37 cornets. Like the Indus Valley, Carol showed no signs of warfare and left no clear explanation for why it faded away and what happened to the people. Number 13. The Olmecs. The Olmecs stand as Mesoamerica's earliest major civilization, taking shape in the Gulf Coast lowlands between roughly 1400 and 1200 BCE. Their rise is usually tied to the founding of San Lorenzo Tenochtitlan, unrelated to the later Aztec capital along the fertile Coatzacoalcos River. Abundant alluvial soil and easy water transport let the Olmecs sustain dense urban populations. San Lorenzo alone may have exceeded 10,000 residents, spurring demand for prestige crafts. Elite artisans produced exquisite jade masks and the culture's unmistakable basalt colossi, 17 gigantic heads, the largest 11 feet tall and weighing 55 tons. Scholars believe these sculptures commemorated rulers and possibly housed their spirits. Excavation layers reveal the civilization's decline came in 2 distinct waves, apparently driven by internal conflict compounded by floods, droughts, and soil exhaustion that crippled large-scale maize farming. Their cities emptied, workshops fell silent, and the rainforest swallowed plazas, leaving those brooding stone faces to guard abandoned ground. Without a doubt, they were weird. Number 12. The people of Göbekli Tepe. Göbekli Tepe crowns the plains of Turkey with limestone rings dating from the 10th to the 8th millennia BCE. The mound stands 15 meters high and 300 meters across, encasing more than 200 T-shaped pillars up to 6 meters tall and weighing 10 tons each, set in concentric enclosures upon a polished lime floor. First noted in 1963, but fully recognized after Klaus Schmidt's 1994 digs, the site overturned prehistory hunter-gatherers, not farmers, built the earliest monumental sanctuary. First came the temple, then the city, Schmidt quipped. No dwellings appear, implying seasonal gatherings for ritual feasts. Butchered gazelle and aurochs bones support that view, while scattered human remains hint at ancestor veneration. Around 8000 BCE, the builders entombed their creation beneath thousands of tons of fill, preserving it like a time capsule. Their motive, spiritual closure, social realignment, or ecological pressure, remains speculative, but Göbekli Tepe proves cultural complexity long predated agriculture. Number 11. Cahokia. At its height around 1200 CE, this pre-Columbian city near today's St. Louis outmatched London in both scale and population. Built entirely without draft animals, the people of Cahokia constructed a sprawling city spanning 6 square miles, home to an estimated 10,000 to 20,000 residents. It was the largest urban center north of Mexico prior to European arrival, boasting over 120 distinct earthen mounds used for living spaces, ceremonies, and political functions. With no written records left behind, archaeologists rely entirely on artifacts to piece together their story. Ironically, the name Cahokia refers to a separate indigenous group that lived nearby in the 1600s, long after the original builders were gone. Excavations have uncovered evidence of a competitive sport called chunky, remains of a caffeinated brew, and elaborate items like copper ornaments, carved stone figures such as the Birdman, and ceremonial tools of unmistakable craftsmanship. While some believe internal conflict triggered their downfall, others point to outside invasion. The real reason for Cahokia's collapse is still unanswered. Number 10. Greenland sits Vikings. As told in the Icelandic sagas, Eric the Red led a fleet of 25 ships to Greenland around 985 CE after being temporarily exiled from Iceland for killing a man. The settlers created two communities, the larger eastern settlement and the smaller western one. They raised livestock, goats, cattle, and sheep, while also hunting seals and caribou. Some of their stone churches still stand today. Their numbers eventually grew to roughly 5,000, which was a big deal. But when Danish missionaries arrived in 1721 to spread Protestantism, they found the colonies deserted, silent, and cold ruins. Archaeologists believe the western settlement vanished by 1400, followed by the eastern settlement decades later. The cooling climate of the Little Ice Age likely sealed their fate, cutting off trade routes and destroying fragile farmland. When the European market for walrus ivory collapsed, their economy crumbled too. The final blow is unknown. Starvation, disease, clashes with Inuit neighbors, or perhaps they simply left. Whatever the cause, one thing is certain: the Norse weren't the only ones whose legacies were swallowed by time. Number 9. The Lost Kingdom of Tuwana. Tuwana was an Iron Age kingdom in southern Anatolia during the 8th century BCE, located in what is now Turkey. It emerged as one of several Syro-Hittite states that rose following the collapse of the Hittite Empire in the 12th century BCE. The name Tuwana is tied to Tuwanawa, a city formerly within the Hittite Empire's lower land. The kingdom's brief independence ended when it likely fell under the control of the expanding Neo-Assyrian Empire. Some historians also argue that the Sumerians, Indo-European invaders from the Iranian plateau, played a role in its downfall. Tuwana's limited lifespan has left few surviving records. 5 kings from the 8th century BCE are known, but only Warpala was II, ruling from 740 to 705 BCE, has firmly established dates. During his reign, Tuwana paid tribute to Assyria under Tiglath-Pileser III and held diplomatic ties with King Midas of Phrygia. Excavations have revealed both Assyrian and Phrygian artifacts, suggesting that Tuwana was culturally and politically overshadowed by these more dominant neighboring powers. Alright, now, let's move to number 8. The Sangsing-Dui. The Sangsing-Dui civilization flourished in Bronze Age China between the 12th and 11th centuries BCE, rooted in what's now Sichuan province. Its discovery turned conventional ideas about Chinese civilization upside down, showing that the Yellow River wasn't the only cradle of early culture. In 1929, a farmer unearthed jade artifacts while digging, but real attention didn't come until 1986, when 2 sacrificial pits were excavated, yielding thousands of relics. These included gold masks, bronze statues, jade tools, ceramic vessels, and ornate animal figurines. Some objects had ceremonial uses, while others were clearly decorative or symbolic. The site's full history and its connection to the legendary Shu Kingdom remain unclear. As for the civilization's disappearance, one theory suggests a massive earthquake diverted rivers and collapsed their water infrastructure, forcing mass relocation. Their cities' wide canals, measuring 20 to 25 meters across and up to 3 meters deep, may have served for irrigation protection or flood control. Sangsingdui remains one of China's most visually striking and mysterious archaeological finds. Number 7. The Vincha culture. The Vincha or Turdashi culture was a Neolithic civilization that flourished between 5,700 and 4,500 BCE across the Central Balkans. First identified in 1908, its footprint spanned what is now Serbia, Kosovo, Romania, Bulgaria, Bosnia, Montenegro, and northern Greece. These early communities built some of Europe's first large settlements, often hosting dense populations of 50 to 100 people per hectare. Practicing mixed farming, they introduced wheat, oats, and flax to European soil. The city of Stubline may have supported around 4,000 people by 4,800 BCE. Long-distance ritual exchange networks connected settlements, and Vincha artisans produced intricate figurines, many bearing carved symbols some researchers believe represent a proto-writing system. Though their exact function remains unclear, these artifacts likely held spiritual or ceremonial meaning. The culture's decline around 4,500 BCE is attributed to soil depletion and a lack of centralized political cohesion. Another theory suggests Vincha communities were peaceful and matrilineal, eventually displaced by Proto-Indo-European migrants descending from the Pontic-Caspian steppe during later waves of expansion. Number 6. The people of Punt. To ancient Egyptians, Punt was the domain of the gods, yet its boundaries and lifespan remain uncertain. Most researchers place it southeast of the Nile along the coasts of modern Djibouti, Eritrea, Somalia, or northeastern Ethiopia. Punt is known solely through Egyptian trade records listing coveted imports: gold, myrrh, incense, ebony, live baboons, and panthers. References begin under Pharaoh Khufu and run from the 6th through 18th dynasties, fading after the 20th when Punt slipped into legend. The clearest account comes from Queen Hatshepsut's 1493 BCE expedition, led by Chancellor Nessi. His fleet met King Parahu and Queen Ati, the only named Puntite rulers, and returned with frankincense trees still rooted in Nile mud. Their images grace Hatshepsut's temple at Deir el-Bahri. What ended Punt's commerce, climatic shift, political upheaval, or redirected sea lanes remains unknown. Its once golden harbors have vanished from the historical map. Alright guys, now let's move to number 5, the Clovis people of North America. Well, now this is totally mysterious. The Clovis culture flourished near present-day Clovis, New Mexico between 13,200 and 12,900 years ago as the last ice age waned. Genetic studies show roughly 4/5 of living Native Americans share ancestry with these Paleo-Indians, whose forebears crossed the Bering Land Bridge from Northeast Asia. Identified in the 1920s by their elegantly fluted spear points, Clovis technology was formidable: razor-edged stone tips hafted to shafts for hunting mammoths, mastodons, bison, and dozens of now extinct species. A 1968 child's burial at Anzac, Montana, yielded ancient DNA that confirmed their Asiatic links. The culture vanished almost as quickly as it appeared, likely hammered by megafaunal die-offs, expanding human populations, and the abrupt Younger Dryas climate swings between 12,900 and 11,700 years ago. Their tools still lie beneath prairie soils and riverbanks, but the people who crafted them are gone, leaving only flaked stone and genetic whispers to mark their passage. Number 4. The Nok people. The Nok culture thrived in what is now northern Nigeria from roughly 1500 BCE to 500 CE. Discovered in 1928 and named after the village where the first artifacts surfaced, Nok society is best remembered for its striking terracotta figures, hollow statues depicting humans and animals with stylized features, all crafted from local alluvial clay. The purpose of these sculptures remains uncertain. Some theories suggest they honored ancestors, similar to Easter Island's Moai, while others argue they served ritual or agricultural roles. Both male and female forms appear frequently, hinting at a balanced symbolic or social structure. Beyond their art, the Nok used early iron and stone tools for farming, metalwork, and warfare. They also produced functional pottery. However, due to the acidic nature of the region's soil, organic remains like animal bones have not survived, leaving gaps in our understanding of their diet and domestication practices. The reasons behind the Nok's eventual decline remain unclear, but their cultural legacy is one of Africa's most compelling archaeological enigmas. Number 3. The Nabda Playa people. This was once a seasonal basin located in the present-day Nubian desert, and between the 10th and 6th millennia BCE, it supported one of the earliest desert-based societies. Previously a savanna, the region saw increased rainfall between 130,000 and 70,000 years ago. By the 10th millennium BCE, a lake formed, attracting nomadic groups. By the 7th millennium BCE, these people began constructing wells, aligning homes in patterned rows both above and under the ground, and rotating crops to manage water efficiently. Whether they domesticated animals remains uncertain due to limited evidence. Although they eventually vanished from historical memory, some researchers argue they were early sky watchers. A series of stone arrangements and a calendar circle at the site appear to mark solar and stellar movements. One particular structure, dated between 6,400 and 4,900 BCE, may represent the Orion constellation, possibly the earliest known star mapping. Nabda Playa stands as a rare prehistoric culture that blended basic urban planning with environmental adaptation and celestial observation. Number 2. The Sea Peoples. The Sea Peoples were maritime raiders active between 1200 and 900 BCE, remembered for attacking and destabilizing civilizations throughout the eastern Mediterranean during the Bronze Age collapse. Their origins remain uncertain. Some theories link them to Aegean groups, Trojan refugees, or tribes from Anatolia and southern Europe. All historical accounts of the Sea Peoples come from Egyptian records, particularly those of Ramesses III at Medinet Habu, which has led to debate over their accuracy. Despite this, they're widely credited with helping bring down the Hittite Empire and contributing to regional instability. Known for their military effectiveness, they inspired fear in ancient powers. A stela from Tanis during Ramesses II's time even claimed no one knew how to fight them. Their most significant confrontation came during the Battle of the Delta in 1175 BCE, when Ramesses III ambushed their fleet near the Nile Delta, resulting in thousands of deaths and mass executions. After this crushing defeat, the Sea Peoples vanished from history, leaving their full identity unresolved. Now let's end this with number 1. The Beaker culture. The Bell Beaker horizon spread across Western and Central Europe at the Bronze Age's dawn, emerging around 2800 BCE on the Iberian Peninsula before radiating through the British Isles, northern Italy, and as far east as Poland by 2400 BCE. Whether this diffusion reflected migration, intermarriage, or the allure of new ideas is still debated. Named for its distinctive bell-shaped pottery, finely decorated vessels used for drinking fermented brews, or, in some areas, alloy smelting, these beakers doubled as prestige items placed in burials. In Britain, beaker communities arrived circa 2500 BCE, thrived for 4 centuries, and faded by 1700 BCE, likely absorbed into local populations after early friction. Grave clusters near Stonehenge and the Amesbury Barrows suggest they participated in later construction phases of those iconic monuments. Thousands of beakers endure, but the voices of the potters who shaped them have long since dissolved into the soil. Well, we really hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for hanging with us this far, and we'll see you soon in the next